So I'm going to tell you about the time we blew up a car. 100% true story, by the way, and it starts with the world's worst music magazine. London Tour Dates, that's London, UK, not London, Ontario. This was a magazine that preferred to believe that the internet just didn't exist. Where the founder told me when I informed him that I wanted to put on the cover a UK rapper who I'd interviewed that we couldn't do that because he was black. And a guy who, I'm not overly bitter about this at all, fired me the day before I was due to go on holiday with my family to Italy in front of the entire staff. Not a fun time in the life of Rob Boffard, really. But Italy, fantastic place. And when you're driving along a beautifully wooded hillside in Tuscany, and the sun's going down over the hills, and you've got salami and prosciutto and truffles waiting back at the villa, it's kind of hard not to be satisfied with life. The problem is, if you're in that state of mind, it's not a good idea because something inevitably catches on fire. So my mom, dad, sister, her boyfriend and I, plus my then girlfriend, now wife, were in a rental car, a Fiat Ulysses. It's big, it's ugly, and they don't make them anymore. I don't know if that's because of the events I'm about to describe, but I'm pretty sure it didn't help. So my dad's driving, and these little curls of smoke start to come wisping out the hood. Now this was smoke which had ambition. The smoke had big plans. It swiftly grew from a wisp into a billow, obscuring the road ahead of us, and we started making polite suggestions that, perhaps we ought to, pull over and get the fuck out of there. My dad said he would stop as soon as he could find a clearing off the narrow rocky road. Now, we pulled into one a few minutes later. God knows how he saw it through the pall of smoke that's now coming out of the bonnet. And we're out of the car and seriously contemplating legging it before we all noticed that we parked next to another car. As in right next to it, as in less than a meter away. So at this point I want to tell you a little bit about my dad. Now my dad is one of the smartest men on the planet. This isn't just his son boasting, this is a fact. The guy ran the Department of Surgery and the trauma unit at Johannesburg General Hospital for 30 odd years. He's a guy who has a track record of making the right decision in 1,000 fucked up situations, except this one. See, at this point, there are flames licking out of the edges of the hood, and there's this big black patch spreading over the metal, and my dad, bless his cotton socks, decides that the best thing to do is to try open it up and take a look. Fortunately, we managed to persuade him that this was not a good idea. Opening what amounted to a casket of fuel and flames, no, bad idea, not the sharpest course of action. It was then I realized that my wife was still in the car. As I said, she was only my girlfriend then, but I was hoping to at some point make it a long-term thing. Subconscious is going, no, maybe not. See, the problem with the Fiat Ulysses is that in order to get out of the back seats, you have to put the front seats down, and I'd abandoned ship without actually doing that. You think you've pissed off your significant other? Try trapping her in a burning car. What makes it worse is that my sister's boyfriend rescued her before I could do it. Another man literally saved my girlfriend's life while I stood around looking confused. Now at this point, I should highlight a few things. One, when a car catches on fire, it doesn't just go up all at once, it goes up in stages. First the windows, they blow out in this shattering, gasping explosion. Then the tires just bang. Then the fuel tank, and it's pretty impressive, as you can imagine, especially if you don't know what caused it. And to this day, we have no idea why this car exploded. Two, it happens quickly, and it is almost unbearably hot. From the first wisps of smoke to a blazing, gutted shell took about 5 minutes, and we couldn't get near the damn thing, especially considering the blazing trail of petrol which started to leak downhill towards the nearest village. 3, a fire in the forest will send every living creature in the undergrowth scurrying for safety. That includes a massive nest of scorpions that suddenly poured out onto the road, trying to outrun the rivulets of burning fuel. You know that scene in the original Mummy movie where they open the tomb and that scourge of flesh-eating beetles pours out? This was exactly like that, only everything was on fire. 4, if you park a car that is on fire next to one that isn't, the results are somewhat predictable. The fuel tank of the second car exploded with enough force to push the car 2 meters uphill. This happened shortly before the car's owners, a family who'd gone out picking mushrooms with their elderly mother, returned to find that things were not as they left them. So by this time, we had gathered a crowd from the surrounding villages, including one very confused and alarmed family of mushroom pickers. A massive honking traffic jam had formed. By the time the fire brigade showed up, an hour and a quarter after the Fiat had been consumed, things had pretty much run their course, although they did have to spend an hour completely soaking the surrounding kilometre of wilderness just in case. By this point, my dad's on the phone to Hertz Car Rental, who insisted on sending a tow truck and wouldn't take no for an answer. Eventually, my dad, exasperated, hands the phone to a sympathetic Italian policeman, who spends a while explaining that the car was totale distrutto and that had no wheels to be towed on. The fire had burned so hot that both the remaining glass in the windows and the entire engine block had melted. Do you guys know how hot something has to burn for a block of steel and aluminium to melt? Here's the kicker. And once again, I swear to God, I'm not making any of this up. We were driving to a little village at the top of a hill in Tuscany called Montefigatore, I believe the name was. And we weren't just driving to the village because it was cute, although I'm sure it was. We were driving there to see a particular monument. And this monument was a monument to Dante's Inferno. Thank you very much.